Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Unash and Dukes podcast here on our YouTube channel, Unash and Dukes podcast. Just go to that, type it in at YouTube, and subscribe to us. And you can see this particular episode. You can go back and view and listen to the older episodes. You can go to crmlivesports.com, do the same thing. You can also give us a follow on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, what have you. We are out there. And thank you very much for joining us. Presented by Emil's Hideaway in First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, right across from the Lindale Mall and next to the Home Depot. And open at 4 o'clock Monday through Saturday. A classic local American restaurant, fully stocked bar. They've got catering as well. And some of the best food, in fact, the best food around. So thank you very much to Emil's Hideaway. I'm Scott. He's Mark. Super Bowl weekend is here. We've got Hall of Fame class to discuss, hoops to talk about, and the Olympics getting underway. And as a matter of fact, I believe the opening ceremony is going on live as we speak. Many in America will watch it later on in prime time in America. I think they're what, 6? Are they on Croatian time, Mark?
Six. I think Croatia was seven.
Okay. So they're an hour ahead of Croatia. And the reason we bring up Croatia is if you missed Wednesday's episode of the Unash and Dukes podcast, Mark Ironside joined us live from Croatia. And that was a good one. Go back and listen to it. Again, a big thanks to Emil's Hideaway, as well as Bim Ritter Sportswear in Cedar Rapids, Hunt Graphic Innovations, Dr. John Woolner at Epiphany Dermatology, as well as Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance, all great sponsors of the Unash and Dukes podcast. Before I get too far into it, did want to say this. Speaking of Hall of Fames in professional football, two notable passings in the sports world in the last couple of days, in the last 48 hours. First one was Mickey Lolich, the one of the stars of the terrific 1968 World Series with the Detroit Tigers. He passed away. And then last night or early this morning, Football Hall of Famer Sonny Jurgensen passing away, member of the Philadelphia Eagles and most notably of the Washington then Redskins. And our late great leader would say, "You better say Washington Redskins when you when you talk about Sonny Jurgensen." But he passes away at the age of 91. A member of the Over the Hill gang of the Washington Redskins back then, with Billy Kilmer, with a 1-2 quarterback duo back in the day, Mark. And two notable guys, anyway, that will be missed in the sports world.
Yeah, I remember Lolich, and he was with Denny McLean, right?
Yep.
Um, McLean, of course, won 31 games, I think, one year, but Lolich was really, really good, obviously. And Jorgensen, the old days of the Redskins, he was, he might have been not have been the most athletic quarterback, but he was pretty darn good. Obviously, he's in the Hall of Fame.
I think you. I don't think you have to sugarcoat it. He wasn't the most athletic
No,
quarterback. Not going to be. He's not going to be confused with Josh Allen anytime soon, or any of the modern day quarterbacks. But um, hey, that's the way it was back then. It was a different league,
yeah.
and he was, of course, a Hall of Famer, and he will be missed out there. Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, Seattle and New England, and I is it me, Mark? I don't think there's been as much hype this year for this particular Super Bowl. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Heck, I've heard more about Bad Bunny and alternate Super Bowls, halftime shows than I've heard about the actual game coming up on Sunday. I don't know how to take that really.
Yeah, I agree with you. Part of it is there's 2 weeks in between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, but yeah, I'm with you. And maybe it has a little bit to do with the proximity of the teams being Seattle and New England on each coast, and we're stuck here in the Midwest. And really no rooting interest, whether it's Chiefs or the Bears or what have you. But I'm with you. But I think come game time, I'm looking forward to the game itself. I know Seattle's a 4.5 point favorite, but I think there's an argument to be made for both teams to win this thing. And frankly, I'm there for the game. I'm there for the Budweiser horse commercial and not much else.
Hey, that's part of it because now all the commercials have been released and
Yeah,
leaked.
I've seen the Budweiser commercial already. Yeah.
I mean, it's not quite the way it used to be, and I think that's a bad thing, to be honest with you. Let's face it, there are many people in America that are watching the Super Bowl, A, because they're at a party, Super Bowl party, or B, that they just are feel obligated to watch the Super Bowl. And for a lot of people out there, they don't have a rooting interest in this thing. They want to just see a good game and they want to see the commercials that are aired. And if you can see them beforehand, I don't I don't think that is a real big bonus. Uh, Although NBC has the weekend of all weekends this weekend
Yeah.
on television. We'll get more on that coming up in just a little bit. But I'm I think Seattle's going to win this thing. I think there's a better team all around. I like their running game. Smith and the Jigba ended up being the offensive. How can he be the offensive player of the year, but the MVP is Matt Stafford? That's the way it is as of late. Anyway, the MVP doesn't win the Offensive Player of the Year award. Um, he's going to be tough. Although New England's got a very good secondary, and New England also can do a really good job of getting after the quarterback. But I kind of like Seattle all year, and the only way I see them losing this game is if Sam Darnold decides to give it to the other team, and he hasn't done that for the year, and that's why Seattle has climbed the heights that they have climbed. And I also think the NFC West was the best division this year, and I think that really prepared them playing those games against San Francisco and who am I forgetting, Mark? Not the Arizona Cardinals. Oh, the LA Rams. The LA
Yeah.
Rams. So I think they've been a little bit more battle tested.
Well, I think you make a great argument about Seattle, as have many others. But I'm gonna go and root for New England, and I'm gonna pick New England. I think it's New England's year. I know they played the softest schedule in the league, but they played very well down the stretch here. I think Drake May is certainly capable. I think New England's going to put a lot of pressure on Sam Darnold, make him make some throws that he isn't otherwise, and maybe take some chances. I mean, this is you know you want to go with your bread and butter, uh, and New England rushes the ball better than Seattle, even though Seattle's got a great back in Kenneth Walker the third. I love rooting for the underdog. Um, Heart, head type thing. Head, I'd probably go with Seattle, but heart, I'm going to go with New England, and um, hope there's a lot of good commercials in between.
I think that I don't know. Is Robert Kraft an underdog? He's still
Well,
upset a
he
little,
he needs another title for to get in the Hall of Fame, I guess, right?
I guess, because we're all up in arms that he's not in the Hall of Fame. That class was announced midweek, but yeah, hey, Robert Kraft. I guess he's a good owner. He hired Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick and the rest of the staff drafted Tom Brady, hired Mike Vrabel. If that's his decision, then he should be in the Hall of Fame. He will be in the Hall of Fame. Bill Belichick's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. It's just now we're outraged if you're not in the first time you're eligible, um, which I don't quite understand. But this is the time and era of outrage.
I think one of the interesting things is, you might be able to name Mike Vrabel as the head coach of New England, but how many people out there know who the Seattle head coach is? Talk about being underrated.
True.
I mean, um, he's no Andy Reid. He's no Bill Belichick, but he's done a heck of a job at Seattle this year.
Well, and was one of the hot coordinators
Yeah.
before he took the Seattle job, and and everyone's going that route again for the most part, except for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which I can't figure out, but he'll probably have winning seasons for the next 20 years too, like Mike Tomlin did. But we mentioned the Hall of Fame and that announcement coming midweek, and an Iowa tie. Old Davenport Central Blue Devil himself, Roger Craig, finally gets the call. So should he be outraged that he hasn't gotten into the Hall of Fame prior to this, Mark? Because tell you what, Roger Craig, during his day, he was the Christian McCaffrey of his day and might have been better than Christian McCaffrey. Nothing against Christian McCaffrey. It's just that Roger Craig was that good for the Joe Montana led San Francisco 49ers, but they had Dwight Clark and they had, a great team around him and a great defense. So maybe he didn't get quite Bill Walsh during that era for the 49ers and the West Coast offense, but good to see that happen to Roger Craig and another Iowan going into the Hall of Fame.
There haven't been many. And, in Iowa high school football, before there was Tavian Banks and Tim DeWitt, there was Roger Craig at Davenport Central. I did a little research. It didn't take me much time, but I thought he recalled him playing against some of the local schools. And actually, his senior year, that Davenport Central team opened up against Jefferson, and Jefferson gave him a hell of a game at Brady Street and lost 12 to nothing. But at the end of that year, and you were a mere pup then, Scott, in 1978, but um, Davenport Central hosted Cedar Rapids, Washington, and Roger Craig had 354 yards rushing, 354, and 4 touchdowns. Washington was down 28-7 and came back and won 29-28. And what was described then, I mean, the playoffs were only 7 years old at that time, but certainly one of the greater comebacks in playoff history, maybe even till today. Being 21 down against Davenport Central on the road was no easy task for Wally Sheets and the Warriors. But I mean, Roger Craig went from Central to Nebraska and then on those great 49er teams. And you're right, he was McCaffrey before McCaffrey in terms of multiple threat out of the backfield. Uh, Watching some of the videos of some of his former teammates going to his house and greeting him. And I mean, these guys that get inducted into the Hall of Fame, it's just not a handshake type thing. I mean, it's embraces, it's cheers. It means a lot to these guys. And I think besides Kurt Warner, the only other Iowa high school player to go in the Hall of Fame was Duke Slater. He played at Clinton, and I couldn't find another Iowa high school player who's going into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's college football Hall of Famers, but not pro football Hall of Famers. So it's select company.
Two NFL Hall of Famers now have played football at Kingston Stadium here
Yeah,
in here in Cedar Rapids. Um, yeah, good job by Roger Craig, and I think you can. I think he's the best pass catching running back ever in the NFL. I mean, this guy caught 100 passes
yeah,
out of in a 14 game season, ladies and gentlemen, and ran for 1,000 yards when 1,000 yards was a big thing
yeah,
back then. Running backs were alongside the quarterbacks were king back then. It wasn't the wide receivers; it was running backs in that era of the National Football League. And now running backs are pretty much dispensable. You get a guy, you never take a running back early in the draft. God forbid you do that. You get him more in second, third, and fourth round and try to find a guy that's can satisfy a niche. You've got third down backs, you've got first and second down backs. Roger Craig played every down in that, along with they had like I said, they had a very good offense, and Joe Montana, arguably top three quarterback of all time.
yeah.
But good for Roger Craig. In 1977, Wash Davenport Central. That's good stuff.
You might be able to get it elsewhere, but you can also get it here.
We'll get you on the right track to finding out this information, and then you can just leapfrog that and use it on your own.
You got it.
Right there. But good Hall of Fame class, and like I said, he had to wait a long time, and no one was up in arms when he went to Nebraska. That's what I remember. I
Yeah.
mean, I was 12, 13 years old back then, but Nebraska and Tom Osborne was it. That was probably the lowest of the lows for Iowa. I mean, Earl Bruce had Iowa State playing pretty good football back at that point, but that was the Bob Cummings era. And I don't think anybody in their right mind thought Roger Craig was going to go to Iowa City and play for the Hawkeyes. He was going to, as soon as Osborne and the rest of the Huskers came over, he became one of the 170 Big Red that were on the roster back then.
Yeah, I think Roger Craig had decided to go to Nebraska before Cummings was fired and Hayden Fry was hired. And actually, I think one Hayden Fry's first recruits was Reggie Roby. Tried to keep those guys in state. Reggie turned out to be pretty good too.
Not bad. Hey man, will Reggie Roby be a Hall of Famer someday?
Yeah, they think of punters differently. You have your Ray guys and not many others. So, but at the time, I mean, he averaged almost 50 yards a punt at Iowa, and I remember what his average was in the NFL, but he was a pretty effective weapon.
And a heck of an athlete
Yeah.
out of Waterloo East. So, yeah, Reggie Roby. Congratulations to Roger Craig as he goes into the Hall of Fame. Unash and Dukes podcast coming your way here. We thank you for joining us. Do appreciate it. Big thanks to Emel's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor, for helping us out. Do appreciate Jamie and Chris and everybody over there, right across from the Lindale Mall, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids, next to the Home Depot. So, hoops. What the heck's wrong with the Iowa women, Mark? We were talking about the 2-game road trip, and yes, you can lose very easily to UCLA and USC on the road. Come back, and the Minnesota Golden Gophers do something that they haven't done in a long, long time, and that is beat a top 10 team, period, beat a top 10 team on the road. They showed a whole litany of things that Minnesota accomplished on Thursday night after that win. And that's a good Minnesota women's basketball team. And they came in, got a 20-point lead. Iowa, to their credit, came back, but just did not have, they ran out of time and a little firepower at the end. And now the Hawks have lost 3 in a row.
Yeah, for one thing, I think why has Iowa lost 3 in a row? Well, they played pretty good teams. And in the case of USC, that was going to be a tough ask because USC was desperate. UCLA is what it is, and Minnesota is a really good basketball team. If you watched any of that last night, they have Minnesota has a tremendous, not tremendous, but very good inside presence, and they hit threes. I mean, uh, I think they were 10 out of 14 from 3-point range. That's pretty darn good. And Iowa got out rebounded badly. Uh, Seemed to get stuck on offense quite a bit. Uh, this is still a pretty good Iowa basketball team, and will get a chance to right the ship here in about 4 or 5 days against Washington. But it's just hit a lull right now. Not that they've had a bad loss. I think this one Iowa's net is like 12 or 13 right now, so they're in good shape for the tournament. Just got to turn around here a little bit, and I don't know if Taylor McCabe's absence has meant that much. Some people are saying it does. I don't think so because Chit Chat Wright and a couple others can make 3-point goals, but Jan Jensen certainly got to figure some things out here pretty quick.
I know Jan was lamenting the fact that she does not like buys and she hates going. She even spelled it out, HATE, going into a bye week with awful loss. And Washington's 24th in the country. The
Yeah.
Huskies the Lady Huskies are, no soft touch. I think this is a really good time for the Iowa women to have a bye because, like you said, we we've speculated, others have speculated. Is McCabe's absence noticeable? Absolutely, it's noticeable. Can it be overcome? I think it can be. Um, this team hasn't shot as many 3-pointers without McCabe out there. It's not like the percentage has sunk in the last 3 games, but having practice 3, 4 days of practice without having to worry about getting ready for a quick turnaround in a game, I think can only help this team right now because you can work on, okay, let's take some time. Who's going to step up? Do we need somebody to step up to take that spot? Do we need somebody to go out there and make those threes? Do we need to attempt as many threes? Do we need to go inside a little bit more? There's a lot of things that can be answered, and I for one think this is a good opportunity and a good time for Iowa to get this by.
Yeah, we're going to find out. I think the one of the big problems for Iowa right now, and it was evident last night against Minnesota, is post defense. I mean, you got Ava Hayden, who had a really good game offensively with 24 points, but she can only do so much when the other team has a couple of very strong inside players. And Hannah Stokey tries. She's a hybrid. She's a four, asked to be play a five sometimes. Um, Her defensive ability is not among the greatest in the nation, but I think that's how I want to buy was uh, I wondered why Iowa didn't go to a zone actually when it was starting to fall behind, but I think that's one of the areas that Jan Jensen's going to have to address because against a strong inside presence and couple that with a team that can make threes like Minnesota did last night, it becomes a problem.
I was not a big zone team, and
No,
Jan does not like to play a lot of zone. Um, so I can see exactly why they didn't do it, but maybe that's something they work on. Throw
the
that out.
problem was that Minnesota spread the floor,
Yeah.
made the posts available, and if you slough off on the perimeter, Minnesota did what they did last night and hit 10 threes. So uh, it's a tough situation in terms of defense.
Mm-hmm. That's women's basketball. Men's basketball. The Iowa State Cyclones up to number 7. They will be in action on Saturday afternoon, a matinee against the Baylor Bears. That will be at home. Iowa State's already beaten Baylor in Waco. This is not a great Baylor team this year. Uh, Playing a little bit better as of late, 13-9. They're 11th place in the Big 12. This is not one of Coach Drew's better squads. I don't see Iowa State having any sorts of issues with that. And this is the last real layup, if you will, for Iowa State before the schedule gets a whole lot tougher right after this. Most people have Iowa State right now on the 2 line. Even through that 7-game stretch, that's really difficult for TJ Otzelberger and the Cyclones coming up. You can get through that with 5-2. I think you take that. I don't think you're going to fall any further than the 3 line, really.
No, I think you're right about the Baylor game. You hope it's that way if you're an Iowa State fan, but you've got games looming against Kansas and BYU and Houston and Arizona, among others, Texas Tech, I think. So right now, every team, every conference is playing for that seed, not only in the conference tournaments, but also in the NCAA tournaments. Man, the Big 12 tournament is going to be a whale of a tournament, I think.
Especially those quarterfinals. I think the Big 12 at the bottom is not quite as good as it's been the last few
Yeah.
years, but man alive, there are 7 teams, 6 at least, maybe a 7th that are just dynamite. And those quarterfinals and semifinals are going to be amazing. And which leads us to the single, quadruple, double bye of the Big Ten tournament. Iowa, did you stay up, Mark? first of all?
I stayed up for the whole damn thing, Scott,
Very
and
good.
I didn't have a problem with it. I'm glad I did. That was a really, really good win that I think at the end of the year is going to prove one of those really pivotal games, pivotal wins that Iowa had after a first half that Washington made everything. Iowa's defense was there, or Washington's offense was off in the second half. They couldn't possibly continue to shoot 77% for the game, and therefore scored 26 in the second half. But Sturts was amazing again, and Fulgaris, I've seen the capability in him, and I think he's, they say the game's slowing down. I really don't know what that means. This podcast is slowing down for me, maybe too. I don't know. But he played well. He played well. And you got Banks back in the lineup, and it's a really nice team for Iowa. How far it goes, we'll see. But it's got a really good net right now and solidly in the tournament. But you know, the schedule ahead is not easy. Northwestern should be a gimme, but the rest of the way, we'll see.
Purdue game is a sellout on Valentine's. Take your sweetheart to Carver, apparently was a good theme for that particular day. Um, yeah, Northwestern should be a layup for Iowa. I agree. And I think that Ben McCollum probably said, okay, the defense wasn't great in the first half, and it wasn't again. That was probably the one of the worst defensive half court halves that Iowa has had. Washington hit good shots. They weren't going to do that the whole game. I mean, you're not going to hit 77%. So I think Ben McCullum probably told him that at halftime and got after him a little bit. We don't have to worry about free throw gate or whatever you want to call it anymore because Tavion Banks missed his first one. And, that thing is now a moot point. I think that probably maybe even helped a little bit. But as bad as Iowa played defensively in the first half, they played much better in the second half and really turned things on. And I agree with you that was a bad matchup for Iowa. I mean, that freshman center
Steinbach, yeah, he was good.
gives people fits. He may be the best freshman in the country. You look at pure numbers, and no one's talking about him. Everybody's
Yeah.
talking about the guy at BYU and others, but I mean, this kid just putting up numbers. He can shoot threes. He can go inside. He can run the floor. He can dunk it. He's the real deal. I don't know how long he's going to be in Seattle, but the kid is really, really good. And that was going on the road, 2-0 West Coast swing, and beating a team that had bigs. And that's been Iowa's kryptonite. So this team is getting better and better and should get Northwestern solidly in the NCAA tournament at this point. 7 or 8 line is where Iowa's at basically right now. You want to avoid that 8 line at all costs. That's the worst thing made possible because you get the one in the second round. You get a tough first round, and then you got the number 1 seed more than likely in the second round. So you want to avoid that thing. But now people are starting to talk about the Big Ten tournament. That's the triple bye in the top 4 probably not going to happen. But this team can get 5th through 8th and get a double bye, which would be a big, big help.
It's a possibility. I think, in the Washington game, Steinbach really, I think, was so effective. I agree with you totally. I didn't know a whole lot about the guy, but he is an excellent basketball player, and Iowa continually will have to deal with bigs on the inside because Maniau and Koch and people like that are not going to be able to handle the Steinbachs and others on a regular basis, and Iowa's going to have to do some things to combat that. But Iowa's got a chance, to get that a bye or double bye. Um, it's going to have to play very well down the stretch. But again, I'll underscore the fact that I think this is a big win against Washington.
I agree. I agree with you. And Northwestern should be a W coming up on Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. It'll be before the Super Bowl kicks off. It's a 2 o'clock start for that one.
Hmm.
Uh, Before we go, the Olympics are underway. Curling is on. America won the first. United States women's hockey team won their first game. Um, and I'm still pro Olympics. I'm all for it. Love watching it. But after I watched the first broadcast on NBC, I go, oh my God, I remember why I just hate watching NBC because they pick two people and focus on them. And Lindsey Vaughn's one of them. And it was going to be that way. But then since the injury, holy cow, now we can't stop talking about her. Simone Biles is a journalist now. And watching her and Schifrin go back and forth on who's more of a goat, you or me? I don't know. It's come on. And then people that we don't, Andrea Joyce, where has she been? Every 4 years they bring out these people.
Well, they can't bring Jim McKay back, so
I wish they could.
I wish they could, but the Olympics are is what it is. Wait till you get to figure skating and the announcing there, Scott. I took in a little bit of the opening ceremonies this afternoon, and you can only consume so much of Bosnia and Herzegovina athletes and Latvian athletes and Sweden athletes. It's just a constant stream of athletes coming in. And I get it, it's a big deal for them, but it's about as interesting to me as watching Bad Bunny or Kid Rock during halftime of Sunday's Super Bowl.
Would you rather watch before the athletes march in? I mean, the whole cultural dancing and singing and what have you that goes on seemingly endlessly for the Olympics and the opening and closing ceremonies. I can do without any of that. Would you rather watch that or the Super Bowl halftime?
Um, if the Grambling State Marching Band is playing at halftime, I'll watch the halftime show. Otherwise, I'll read a book.
I
Or
had to
check out the Food Channel. I don't know.
had to pick one. Had to pick one. I the Olympic thing is just endless. It goes on for hours. Bad Bunny's only going to be out there 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I could I could stomach it. Now I'll be watching
I,
something else.
Once again, I don't have anything against Bad Bunny. It's just not on my. If I had a playlist, he wouldn't be on it. Okay, and that's true with a lot of these halftime performers. I just don't. I'm just not interested. You don't have to beat me up over it or beat anybody else up over it. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea. It's not because Bad Bunny is. He speaks multiple languages. I get it. He's an international star. He won a bunch of Grammys. He's a talented guy. If he makes a political statement, then I'll rip him at the Super Bowl like he did at the Grammys. But it's not for me. Okay. If I was still drinking, I'd grab a beer. I'll probably get some food, maybe read a chapter in my book and wait for the second half.
It was
Am I
great.
weird, Scott? Am I weird?
No, you're not.
Okay.
Bad Bunny was great and Happy Gilmore too. And he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Stole some scenes in Happy Gilmore too as the caddy for Happy and his comeback, and as the busboy to Travis Kelce's waiter. Travis Kelce being completely, looked over for the nominations for the Oscars is just a tragedy. On that note, we will close up shop here today. So get your comments about Bad Bunny to us. And you can do that through our YouTube page, Unash and Dukes Podcast at YouTube. Thanks again to Emel's Hideaway, our presenting sponsor, First Avenue Southeast in Cedar Rapids. Tell them thank you very much. Also to Hunt Graphic Innovations and Todd Hunt, Gary at Bimritter Sportswear in downtown Cedar Rapids, online at bimritter.com. They are your one-stop for screen print and embroidery. Thanks to Kurt Gustafson Agency of American Family Insurance as well. And also a thanks to Dr. John Woolner, and say thanks to Doc on Council Street Northeast in Cedar Rapids. All right. Have a good weekend. Enjoy NBC's Mega Olympics and Super Bowl coverage.
And the Wasted Management Open.
I tell you what, the best part of my night is looking at social media, and they have the top 10 people just absolutely smashed at
They're
the
passed out at
so,
10:30 in the morning.
yeah, and these large green cups, snakes that they call them, they do at a certain ballpark on a certain north side. Um, it's yeah, whatever. I'd last about 5 minutes at the waste management.
Wasted management.
The wasted management open. All right. For Mark, I'm Scott. Thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you next time.